Okay, Jim. The governor has proposed realignment of public safety, prisons, social services, mental health, and drug and alcohol services from the state to the county along with their revenues. How will this realignment impact Yolo County, and what issues do you identify as potential challenges?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for Yolo County because as a smaller county, I think we're in a position to do it right. And we actually are getting more money proportionally than many other counties. Now, the reason for that is that we were sending more people to prison in the past, and they based it on prison commitments. But for the next couple years at least, we'll have more money for community correction than many other counties. So it's a tremendous opportunity to set up some pilot programs and to be an example of how to do things right. Now, these programs cost more money initially. You need the initial infusion of capital, but then as you start to reduce recidivism, it should reduce the overall cost for your criminal justice system and allow for money to be spent in other areas. It's my hope that we will have a very successful effort in our county. We're right in the middle of it now. I'm the board's liaison to the Community Corrections Committee. Most recently, I worked with the trade unions to bring in an apprenticeship program. It's a pre-apprenticeship program to train people to get into the apprenticeship programs, and they're now serving people directly at the jail. And I'd like to see that mental health, drug treatment, along with a assessment component, because sometimes you do a program and it's not done right and it doesn't do any good, and we need to find out on each program, on everything we're doing, what is our level of success? Are we delivering the right services that are appropriate for our population? And our chief probation officer is very good at that, but we have to build in an actual evaluation component so we can track the success.
Sounds good. Thank you. The next question is, what do you see as the top issues facing the county over the next 5 years?
Well, of course, I think budget will still be an issue over the next 5 years. I believe the economy is going to improve, so it will be an opportunity for us to begin filling in gaps and restoring some of the cuts that we've had to make in the past, and the challenge will be doing it in a smart way, in a way that the money can be used most effectively. Second, I think maintaining the balance that Yolo County has always had between agriculture, environment, and economic development. We've done a good job of that in Yolo County, but there's a lot of pressures from outside Yolo County. For example, the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, the state wanting to impose its project in our county. Well, it doesn't maintain that balance. The initial proposal would cost us millions of dollars a year because we would lose agricultural land, we would lose the industry that's related to agriculture. What we've done in Yolo County, like in the wildlife area, we've had agriculture working hand in hand with conservation efforts. With the gravel mining, we've had the business working hand in hand with environmentalists. We have gravel mining, but then we force them to restore the areas they take the gravel out of, and then they actually, this is the only county, they actually pay a fee that then goes into environmental restoration. So I really believe you can do all those things, but you have to have local control, and you have to have an approach that recognizes that all those things are important. We get a tremendous value in our economy from our agriculture, so we need to support that industry. We need to support economic development in ways that you don't just build something someplace because someone owns the land, because that often is the prime farmland. Sometimes there's another location that's better for it, and we need to get the message out to developers that don't just go for the farmland because it's cheaper. We're going to have you locate in places and work with us so that we can have agriculture and economic development go hand in hand. And we're working on a new agricultural mitigation policy that will try to differentiate the land. Right now we just have what's called a one-to-one mitigation, so anytime you take acre of land, ag land, you're supposed to restore ag land somewhere else. Well, if it's really bad ag land, that's probably too much. But if it's really good ag land, it's not enough. And so if we can start to build nuances into the policy and let people know that if you want to develop on our best farmland, that's going to be very, very expensive. If you want to develop someplace that's not such good farmland, that's going to be very cheap, I think we'll direct the development in a way that both values are respected. I think the third big challenge is going to be a challenge to everybody is trying to make everything fit with global climate change. and some of the changes that are unpredictable, like as we move forward with our environmental decisions, having to know, well, what's the effect on the water levels in the delta, what is the effect of climate change going to have 15 years forward on the decisions we make now. But we're trying to build that into our decision-making process because it's real, and even if we're successful at a national level of fighting climate change, it's still going to occur at some level, and we have to be ready for it in the county.
Okay, Jim. So, barring a monster write-in campaign, you're going to be the 4th District Supervisor. Once again, reelected.
Hope so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, right there, you probably got enough vote by mail ballots turned in so that you're in. So, anyways, looking forward to this next term. What are your top 2 to 3 issues you would like to pursue as county supervisor? And furthermore, how would you solve these issues if you happen to be on the minority on the board?
I will be continuing to work on, because the issues at the Board of Supervisors seem to take more than 4 years, and I am on the subcommittee to deal with the Delta and water issues, and will continue to pursue the balanced approach of protecting agriculture, water, and economic development, working with the state to make sure that when they go forward with projects that our interests are protected. And what we've developed, what we actually proposed to the board and we're successful in achieving, is the concept that if we work on a state project that benefits the state, there should be some net economic gain in our county. We shouldn't just prevent loss, we should get some economic gain for that. And that will be my goal, to have that recognized by the state and other partners that we're working with. Second, it will be my goal to develop a very strong community corrections program that will be an example to the rest of the state. It's really important that we make it work here, because I know there are counties that are resisting it, and if it doesn't work, it just goes away for years and we lose an opportunity. If it does work, I think we have an opportunity to do things different. Right now we're spending more money on prisons than colleges, and that's just unacceptable. This is an opportunity at the ground level to begin to make changes, so I plan to be very much a part of that effort. And then the third thing that is very important to me is to make sure that we restore as many services as possible to those who are in need in the county, and make sure we rebuild that infrastructure. Being in the minority on the Board of Supervisors is kind of interesting, because on issue to issue you never know where the majority is going to be. It just takes 3 votes, and it's hard to predict. But when I am in the minority, I make sure that I continue to advocate for that particular issue. I know when I was on the school board, I was in the minority for a long time on English learner. I wanted to restore funding. I kept getting outvoted. But eventually, after I left the board, that became more and more of a priority. Still not completely there yet. But I think when you speak out on something, even if you're in the minority, you begin to affect change, even if it may be change that takes a while to occur.
Can I do a follow-up question?
Mm-hmm.
On the issue of changes in correction programs and policy, what is it that you desire to see happen within those changes? Well,
fundamentally what we've been doing is just arresting people, having them go in and out of the system until they do something more serious, then we send them off to state prison. They haven't really had any effective programming or corrections at Department of Corrections. And then they come back a few years later, worse than they were before, and then commit an even more serious crime. And we just keep ramping up the time spent in state prison with no real appreciable result, other than when somebody commits a homicide, then we take them out of circulation forever, or really serious crime. We're good at that, but we're not good at keeping people out of that cycle of crime and offenses. And many people, if you give them the opportunity, if you give them the treatment and education they need, and they're treated in the right way, and they're given the ability to do things differently, will not pursue that course towards a life of crime or a criminal career. Some still will, but I think that we could take a significant number of people out of that system. There's states like Georgia that have been doing that for years, and they have much less expensive criminal justice system simply because they don't have the money. California, a relatively wealthy state, we've had the money to lock everybody up, and we do, but we don't get very good results from it. So I would like to see a system where the prisons are reserved for the worst offenders, where at the county level we have effective community corrections and a continuum, really, of penalties and rewards. If somebody is continuing to commit new violations, they should go to more and more, less and less freedom, more and more restrictions on freedom. If they do well and participate in programming, they should get less and less restrictions on their freedom. So you give sort of a reward and punishment system. It has worked in other places. We've just never really tried it in California.
I'm going to stretch you just a little bit on this. What role do you believe, maybe I should frame it this way, among the changes that you would like to make, among those that you just described, what role do schools and the systems of discipline that are applied in schools play in the changes that you've identified that need to be done?
Well, I think schools are always recognized as a place where, particularly for children who might go into becoming juvenile offenders, it can make a real difference, and that there be effective discipline and correction in schools. But I'm not for the zero tolerance type approaches, because I think that just kind of throws people away.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so back to me, Jim. So what specifically have you done over the past 2 to 3 years to help you build awareness in this community of values you feel make you a Democrat?
Well, I think everything I've advocated for are values of the Democratic Party. I have been, of course, active in the Central Committee and also the Democratic Club, and I speak out on those issues whenever I get a chance. And in the positions I take on public issues, whether it's the school board or the Board of Supervisors, I think almost across the board are consistent with the values of the Democratic Party.
Okay, and final question is, why should people vote for you?
Well, I like to think I'm doing a good job, and I'm doing a good job representing them. And if they would like me to continue doing the work, they should vote to re-elect me.
Jim, thank you very much
for
coming
today.
Pleasure.